This color mapping challenge is to celebrate the end of the year 2022 and the beginning of the year 2023. First thing that you do is pick a piece of food. It can be a fruit, vegetable, meat, sandwich, meatball, fish, potato chip, anything you want. I've picked this yellow pepper that has some variations of greens and oranges and yellows in it. This kind of a yellow-green, and there's some blue-greens in here and kind of a little brown spot in there. And rather than just have it on this neutral background, I'm going to also pick a background for it, and one that I like. So here are my choices. I have that one. I have another pretty boring one. A black. A green napkin that I've always found not very attractive. A red one. I'd like a little bit more variation between cools and warms. One of my favorite napkins that goes back a good 30, almost 40 years. Now, I do like the colors of that, so that's a possibility. Then I have another one that's dark, nice contrast, but it doesn't make my heart sing. Then I have this one, and I really, really, really like the variations of the blue-greens with these warmer yellows and oranges. So it's between this one, and this one brings me more joy. So that's the one I'm going to use. Now, you don't have to use a background, but we are just looking at color that has nothing to do with drawing a pepper. Has nothing to do with drawing at all. It only has to do with observing color, naming it in your head, not necessarily with a word name, but saying, okay, that's a warm blue, that's a cool blue, that's a neutralized blue, it's a saturated blue. We want to name the characteristics of the colors. So I will choose a background that I like because I may end up with a color scheme that I love that I will apply to a whole different painting that won't have anything to do with a pepper. The next thing I'll do is choose my palette of pigments. Here are my supplies. I have my pepper, my background, some old napkins to wipe off the water on my brush, the excess water, palette to mix my colors, my paint stones, watercolor, and some of them are gouache paint stones. These are made by Beam in Canada. And I have my color mapping paper, my scrap paper, I may need more of that, and my water. First thing I'm going to do is I will take a few photographs of the pepper. And I want to explore different options for the pepper of colors. And I think that what I'll do is paint from about that view because I have some nice bright orange, some yellow orange, a little bit of green, some, the yellow green in there. And I have green here that goes from warm greens to cool greens. My voice sounds stuffed up. It's because I'm recovering from COVID. All right, so here we go. Remember, this is not about drawing the pepper. It is just about focusing on the color. This is a practice. You could call it an exercise, but I like to call it a practice because it's something I enjoy, something I choose to do that will enhance my ability to paint, enhance my ability to mix colors the way that I want them to be. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to match reality. I may choose to veer away from reality. But this practice of color mapping will show me the colors I like, the reality that I like, the fantasy that I like. It will develop my own personal color voice. Now, I've picked this palette, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to exactly match the colors I see. The important thing is this, that these are the colors I have. I'm not going out to buy more colors, and this is like really a lot. I mean, I feel like I'm being very extravagant with this. But I will see what I can make and what I can do to make something that will work maybe with these colors, that will work well in my color map. And I will learn if there's a color that I really want and I cannot make it with this. I will have learned that. And that also is important. It's important to learn what you can do and what you can't do with the tools you have. Now, it doesn't matter where you start. I will start by moistening the paint stones. This is a very slow process. I'm going to do it in real time first, and then I will speed it up because it's going to be so dreadfully boring for you to watch me do this. It's not all boring for me to do it, but I wouldn't want to watch somebody else do it in real time. Let's... So what I'm doing is I'm mixing a color that I think will work. I'm putting it out here, and then I'm looking very carefully to see if I can see this color anywhere in there. And I actually don't see that in there. It needs to be just a touch greener for me to see that. That's better. That does look a little bit too red. And where I might think there's a red, it's actually a more neutralized green-orange, if there is such a thing. All right, that is one color mapping of this pepper on this background. Now, I could have done, or I could do 5 more sheets of this, of all kinds of variations in there. But this pretty much gives me the overall sense of the colors. Now, I did not go into the deep shadow here, which I would have if I had a little bit more room. But that's it. So now I can take a photo of the color mapping, and I will take a photo of the color mapping next to my pepper. So now I will just post the photo of the pepper and the photo of the mapping together. And I may post a photo of the palette that I used. It's not important to identify the pigment colors unless you want to. Basically, this is just eye practice, eye color practice. We're not trying to engage our brain with too much figuring out, how do I mix that color? What is the name of that pigment? How do I draw that pepper? Is this going to be a painting I can mat and frame? No, this is just a series of lines. And that's it. And I've enjoyed it completely. I've learned a lot from it. And I have a beautiful color map that would work as a color scheme for a totally different painting if I wanted to use it. I will label this. Okay. So this is 12/30/2022.